They say that whatever has a beginning must have an end. Well, even the holy books say as much. The one that I read so much, which is the Bible, I remember reading the Quran when I was also young. By the virtue of friendship, we learned that growing up. So how does this relate to politics in Nigeria today? Well, I'll tell you. President Buhari today conducted what could be referred to as a final Federal Executive Council meeting, and he thanked his ministers and State House staff who worked with him in the past 8 years. He's perhaps going to be the first president that has had a consistent group of people that worked with him from day one to the very end. The president, who will hand over to the president-elect Bola Tinubu on the 29th of May at the Eagle Square in Abuja, says that he's proud that he and his cabinet gave their best to Nigerians. He said these are the valedictory session of the Federal Executive Council at the State House Council chamber in Abuja. The president thanked all the ministers for their steadfastness in pursuing the goals of the administration, urging support for the incoming president. President Muhammadu Buhari, however, failed to dissolve his cabinet on many. As expected that will happen. The president would dissolve naturally his cabinet at the valedictory Federal Executive Council meeting, which he chaired in Abuja today. However, the president instead directed his ministers to return to their offices and continue the work. The spokesperson of the government, Lai Mohammed, said, relayed these after the FEC meeting. Take a listen to him.
While we were at the chambers, there was a false breaking news that the Presidential Council has been dissolved. That is not correct. As a matter of fact, we've been directed by the president that we should all go back and return to our offices. So it is not true that the Presidential Council has been dissolved. It's still very much alive. And I'm sure that we're going to work right to the end of the, up to 29th of May. So please ignore the fake news.
Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed. Let's get some perspectives on these. Mr. Femi Adesina, who speaks for President Buhari, is live for us here. Thank you so much, Mr. Adesina.
Thank you. Good evening.
Final FEC? Final days.
It was bound to come.
Either you like it or not, this day will come.
Yes, it will come.
They say power is transient.
Even life is transient.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I mean, how much of lesson of that have you learned over the last year?
Well, it's a lesson I had imbibed since I was mature enough to know that almost everything, including life itself, is transient. Where I grew up, in my town, they do the Egungun Festival. Every young person loves the Egungun Festival. It's usually 1 week, but some years, it takes 2 weeks. Inevitably, it will end. So there's a saying that the Masquerade Festival will always end. So early in life, I learned that lesson, that anything that you like so much will end.
And the big masquerade is leaving the stage now.
Oh, yes,
Buhari,
yes.
your principal.
Buhari is no mean man. He's no mean man. Nationally, internationally, he's no mean man. Yeah.
It's interesting that the president thought differently. What could be like almost like a tradition that after today, after the valedictory session, the permanent secretaries will take charge of the different ministries, but that did not happen today. Why?
There's no rule. In fact, like they say, the rule is that there is no rule. There's no rule that says a president must dissolve the cabinet after the valedictory FEC meeting. It depends on the president. I've always said it, style is typical to each person. That's the style of the president. He wants them to work to the very last day. We know some presidents who will dissolve after the last FEC meeting. That's their own style. So, style is idiosyncratic, as they say. It differs from person to person.
The president has said that he will go far away from Abuja. And there are jokes as much that he's probably going as much as going to Chad. Even if Nigerians reject him, the people in Chad will accept him. I mean, was that a joke or something?
It was. You know, the president is full of wisecracks. So when I see some people making too much of light-hearted things like that, some people just want to portray the president in an unsavory light. At all cost. President was just, cracking jokes. It's like a wisecrack. He had said it several times that he will retire to Daura, that he will not even stay in Kaduna in the first 6 months because Kaduna is too close to Abuja. He wants his peace. That is the position. I'll go to Nigeria, I'll go to Chad and all that. That's just wisecracks, and the president is full of wisecracks.
Why perhaps will anybody think that the president may not be accepted by Nigerians? Has he done so badly?
That is not an issue. It's even not to be considered at all. It's not to be considered at all. President is a Nigerian. He had always lived in Nigeria. Like he said, when he met the then Prince Charles, who is now King Charles, and that one asked him, do you have a house in London? He said he told him, I don't have an inch of soil anywhere outside Nigeria. So how would he then consider leaving Nigeria?
But he has a lot of friends there. I mean, he has
friends everywhere, including me.
You're a very good friend of his. Yeah. But you have an inch of soil outside of Nigeria, do you?
I'll be glad if I do.
Is it a factor that you have an inch of soil out of here, to use your own words?
It will not be illegal or criminal because,
for you to do.
but it's not something I intend to really have. It doesn't thrill me.
You are going to quietly go back to your quiet life. And you perhaps will think that the whalers will be off your backs. You gave those who attacked and those who opposed you, those who have dissenting voice, as whalers. Do you regret saying that kind of thing?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, you need to know how that appellation, whaling whalers, came. Olisa Metu was the spokesman of PDP in our early days in government in 2015. I think he made it a deliberate policy, everything the president said, to oppose it, He could issue 3 statements a day, the needful and the unneedful, the nonsensical and the downright ridiculous. So he issued one which I felt was uncalled for. And then I did a tweet, and I said, these people have forgotten that they're out of power. And that for a long time, they would not taste that power again. And I then ended that with whaling whalers. And then those who were opposed to the president adopted that appellation for themselves. They were not the one I referred to originally. I was referring to PDP and his spokesman. But the people assumed that appellation for themselves, and I said they were welcome to it. So that's how it stuck. Whaling whalers. No regrets, absolutely.
I mean, those who thought that was offensive at the time thought that they were opposing the government of the day because of a poor performance and delivery and lack of delivery of the promises that were being made at the time, and they thought that was quite offensive. And the fact that your government was largely very, very strong and worked against dissenting voice. And your government never wanted dissenting voice, and it fought it. Those were the feelers.
But that's not true. With the benefit of hindsight, over 8 years, did this government fight dissenting voices? Not at all. It accommodated every shade of opinion. That tweet about whaling whalers came, I think, July 2015. The government was barely 2 months old, but they were bent on distracting the government. Everything. They were making noise. That's how.
You think it was noise or the fact that it was a government that was perceived as very sluggish in the start? It came with a lot of steam and a lot of support from a lot of Nigerians when it preached change. And all of a sudden, in the first 6 months of the life of that government, He was barely very inactive, and a lot of Nigerians who
I tell you,
the performance
that appellation
were very frustrated.
That appellation was not 6 months. It was barely 2 months. I think it was July. The history is there on Twitter.
But the question is that if there was a huge expectation on a government that promised change, when the promise changed, I mean, perhaps that change promise should not have been promised. Should not have been.
There is a saying, easy does it, they stumble that run fast. Easy does it, they stumble that run fast. When you have a mandate that lasts 4 years, you program and time yourself. Why do you want to burn yourself out in a week, 2 weeks? Just because you want to play to the gallery? No. Remember that President Buhari, as military head of state, had one popular saying, this administration will not be rushed. He used to say it a lot as a military head of state. This administration will not be rushed. He had always been painstaking, methodical, and systematic. And that is the approach he has used till this very end. And all the successes that have been attained were attained despite that style.
8 years, Mr. Additional.
Yes.
For some critics who say this government is a pure failure. How do you respond to them?
They have a right to their opinion.
No, this is not an opinion. This is an assessment.
Oh,
and
yes.
They have the right to assess the government. But how does the government assess itself?
Assessment comes from opinion that you hold. Some other people will have their assessment, and you will wonder, are they assessing the same thing?
Based on
we have just come with a fact sheet that we have published into a book. When me, participant in the administration that knew all those facts, read the fact sheet myself, it astounded me. The government worked. The government achieved a lot. Anybody that now says nothing was achieved, no quarrel.
Mr. Additional, I'd like to get some kind of examples to be able to bring on the real issue. And I assume that if the temperature in this room is too uncomfortable, either too cold or too hot, you probably will exit. Things became so uncomfortable for a lot of Nigerians that in several countries like the US and the UK, Nigeria is perhaps visa to Nigerians to those countries was almost 10 times in some countries. To the point that, embarrassingly, some countries have refused to give visa to Nigeria, promised that visa will not go to Nigerians bringing their dependents to their country. It got so bad that a lot of Nigerian skilled professionals are living in Nigeria in droves because the indices of the economy are not just there. Unemployment rate, over 33%. The inflation rate went from single digits when you guys got into office. It's gone to double digit now. It's gone over 21% now. And if you look at all of those indices, based on the promises that you've made, and those who said that your government has largely failed, would it not be right or wrong?
You have made the question so convoluted.
I'm not convoluting. I'm just telling you that the indices are hard to give you. Just remember,
isolate the issues one after the other.
Let me now summarize it for you.
Isolate.
And I'm bringing it to the fact that people want to leave this country. Good. I'm bringing the fact that economy is not in good shape. Just respond to you. Hold on. I'm telling you that things are not really looking good for Nigerians. They want to get out at the first opportunity. Economy is not looking very good. Unemployment rate is very bad. Security is very bad. And so how would you then say that your government has performed?
Let's start with security. Where we are today, is that where we were when this government came? When this government came, there were bombings everywhere. We could have 5, 6, 8, 10 bombings in one day. Well, wait.
No, because
wait, let me make my point.
I'm sick and tired of hearing that same narrative.
I'm sick and tired of you hearing that same question you ask.
No, because I will keep asking Mr. Additional until
and I will keep answering you.
No, because then, you know why I'm sick and tired? Because you look at the numbers of people that were killed at the time you're talking about, compare the numbers of people that are being killed in Nigeria at this time, and you wonder if you and I live in the same Nigeria.
You have to compare. You have to compare. when President Buhari came, it's a benchmark. When he is leaving, it's another benchmark. Can you compare the two? No, you cannot. You cannot. When he came, there were 17 local governments, minimum, under occupation.
How many are down deaf now?
Not a single local government is under full occupation.
By the estimation of the federal government?
No,
but
by the military.
Of the locals there?
Last night, the military had the regimental dinner for the president. Chief of Defense Staff said it, that not an inch of Nigerian soil is under occupation. You may have infestation in some places, but occupation as at, like that of 2015, when they had hoisted their flag, when Emas had run away from their palaces and Boko Haram was sitting on a stool, Boko Haram was running the local government, NYC could not hold orientation, roads had been closed. No, that does not happen again. It does not happen. And anybody that wants to be fair, just, will know that there is a world of difference between 2015 and now. We're not saying that the security challenges are all eradicated. No. But they are mitigated to a large extent.
As you said, and one of the reasons why I said I'm sick and tired is that
Mr.
Femi, just for a moment, you've designed a template of answer. And that's why I said I'm sick and tired, because those templates, as soon as you're saying it, sound like a deja vu in my ears, because these are the same templates of answers.
Keep asking the same questions.
But we'll keep asking those questions until we get the right answers.
And I'll keep answering you that same way.
If your government is not living up to expectation, it's my constitutional duty as a journalist to keep asking
after May 29, I have
the right
no
answers.
business to speak about these things again. But till May 29, I'll give you those same answers, because they are true. And when something is true, turn it, twist it, it remains the truth.
And look, tonight, I salute the gallantry of our military men and the effort of those who've laid down their lives innocently to defend this country. In no way to undermine, but what the question Nigerians will want to ask, especially if you hear the voices of those who have lost their family, their ones, in some kind of insecurity in the country. Ask people in southern Kaduna today. Ask people in some part of Yobe. Ask people in Plateau State, where there are clashes between locals there. I mean, they will wonder whether Mr. Additional lives in the same Nigeria that
you are mixing.
These are insecurity, Mr. Additional.
You are mixing
people are dying.
Hey,
why
did you ask me to come to this studio?
Because I wanted to answer questions.
And you are not allowing me to answer.
I'm asking you because you are not really answering the question.
You are not allowing me to answer.
Please go ahead.
You have just muddled up things.
I'm putting out the security issue that you are raising.
Can I respond?
Please go ahead.
You are muddling up things.
I'm not. You are not answering the question.
I'm answering. You are
I'm not getting the right answers. Go ahead.
You are not getting the answers you want to hear.
Nigerians want to hear.
No, you can't assume that that's what Nigerians want to hear. That's what Shewo Kibaloye wants to hear. Now, let me talk.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
You talked about Southern Kaduna. You talked about Jos. These are endemic problems in the country, endemic problem areas. Those are not the same thing as insurgency or banditry. Those problems have been there. Southern Kaduna matter started as far back as 1980. 1980, and it had occurred almost every year. The Jos crisis has started since under Babangida, and it occurs almost every year. Remember that even President Obasanjo declared a state of emergency in Plateau over Yelwash and Dam crisis. These things are endemic. You now cannot begin to cite them as problems of the Buhari administration. That will be disingenuous.
Have you landed?
We are talking.
Okay, so the president promised he's going to fix insecurity. And the nature of insecurity was not, he wasn't saying, I'm just going to fix insurgency in the Northeast. Nigerians who voted for him thought that their lives, they will be secured under the Buhari government. And that is a promise they are holding on to. Whether it's a clash between brothers and sisters, insecurity is insecurity. As he's killing one, another is rearing his head. And the Nigerians are looking up to the man who made the promise. And that's the question I'm asking. People are still dying.
Now
does that take away the fact that he promised to secure Nigeria?
That question you have asked me probably over 1,000 times in the past 8 years. If you keep asking it, I'll keep answering you with the truth. And the truth is that insecurity is something to fight in any country, all countries of the world. No country of the world can sit back with insecurity. And no country of the world will get to a position that it will say, all is over with insecurity. You must always be alert. Even America, that suffered 9/11, it can't say all the troubles are sorted out now. It must still be alert. So that's what every country needs to do, including Nigeria. Security will always be an issue. Every government must be alert to it. And I'm saying that there are newfangled insecurities like insurgency, Boko Haram, and all that, even banditry is new. But there are some that are endemic. Fratricidal killings in Kaduna, particularly in southern Kaduna, problems in Jos. Those ones had been there. Many governments had tackled that same matter.
And if you hear the story, Mr. Additional, of some people in the northwestern region of the country who are still paying taxes to bandits so that they can survive.
Yes, that's banditry. It's one of the new dimensions. When President Buhari came, insurgency was the main thing. Banditry was not there. Banditry was a new dimension that came. And it's not unlikely that it was some of the dislodged insurgents that became bandits.
Perhaps the final question I'll be asking, a lot of people, I saw a tweet today and I was laughing when there was a letter being read on the floor today that the president is asking for monies to be paid for cases that procured under the... And said, I hope Buhari doesn't want to spend the old money left in the coffers before he leave nothing for the government. So that optics gives some people feeling that why is the president making all of these approvals at the last minute? Another one today being read on the floor today and making last-minute approvals and last-minute appointments. Shouldn't have that been deferred to the incoming government?
A wicked man owes and payeth not. That's what the good book says. When you owe and you refuse to pay, the Bible says you're a wicked man. If government is owing all those judgment debts, why shouldn't it pay? It should pay. And then what do you say last minute? The government has a mandate from a time to a certain time. Wow. That mandate was from 2019 to May 29, 2023. So the government is working.
On a final note, and just quickly, Mr. Additional, Festus Keyamo, SAN, today raised an issue that the Minister of State is not in our Constitution, and raised that in his own speech. What was the response of the President to him?
No, there was no response.
The President left it?
Yes, yes. The President did not say a word about it. But I'm sure it's noted. It will be in the fake minutes. All right. Yes.
Femi Adesina, a soon-to-be former advisor to the president.
Looking forward to it.
Just like your principal, who is not...
In my head, I have finished.
You have finished. But we still have to have you here today. But thank you so much indeed, Mr. Adesina, for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Despite sometimes very troubling the kind of answers you gave in the last 8 years. But then, you've tried your best, I guess. Thank you so much indeed for coming.
Thank you. You're welcome.